So in this video, we're going to configure DHCP and DHCP relay in Cisco Packet Tracer. Before we get into it, here's a very brief rundown on DHCP and why we would need to configure a DHCP relay agent. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, or DHCP, is an application layer protocol that automatically assigns network configuration parameters such as IP addresses, subnet masks, and default gateway information to devices on the network. The DHCP process involves four messages: discover, offer, request, and ACK, which is short for acknowledge. Two of these messages are sent as a broadcast message by the client. We have the discover message, which the client uses to locate a DHCP server, and the request message, which the client sends to inform the server that it accepts the offered IP configuration. Now, notice how I mentioned that the discover and the request message are sent as broadcast messages? Routers don't forward broadcast messages. So if we run into a situation where the DHCP server is in another subnet, we need to set up a DHCP relay agent. A DHCP relay agent converts the client's DHCP broadcast messages into unicast messages so they can be sent to a DHCP server in another subnet. So I've gone ahead and built this simple topology here in Packet Tracer. We have LAN A on the left, LAN B on the right. I'm going to be configuring router A as a DHCP server, and we're going to be configuring router B as a DHCP relay. So we're going to create two DHCP pools on router A, and it's going to provide addressing to the client PCs here in LAN A as well as LAN B. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up router A. So let's go into the CLI. Let's go into global config mode. And I'm going to start by excluding some addresses. Now the addresses I want to exclude here are going to be the 172.16.0.1 address for router A's G000 interface, the 200.0.100.1 address for router A's gig001 interface, and lastly, I want to exclude the 172.16.1.1 address for router B's gig000 interface. So back in our CLI, I'm going to type in IP DHCP excluded address. I'm going to type in the first address that I want to exclude. So that's going to be 172.16.0.1. And I'm going to hit the up arrow again just to make this a little easier. And I'm going to go with my 1.1 address here for the second one. And then lastly, I'm going to exclude router A's G001 interface. So 200.0.100.1. Next thing I want to do is I want to create three DHCP pools. I know I said two earlier, but I'm also going to create one for this point-to-point link here so we can make router B get its address for gig001 via DHCP. So I'm going to type in IP DHCP pool. I'll call this one LAN A pool. I'm going to specify a few things. So I'm going to specify the network first. So we need the network address and mask. So this is going to be for LAN A. So it's 172.16.0.0 is the network address. The mask is 255.255.255.0. Next, I'm going to specify the default router for this pool. So default router 172.16.0.1. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to specify a domain name. So domain name, we'll go with cisco.com. Next, we're going to configure a pool for LAN B. So IP DHCP pool, and we'll call this pool B LAN. I'm going to specify my network 172.16.1.0.255.255.255.0. I'm going to specify my default router 172.168.172.16.11, and I'm going to specify the domain name. Now we have to make one more DHCP pool, and that is the pool for the point-to-point link here. So IP DHCP pool, and we'll call it P2P pool. Network 200, 0, 100, 0, 255, 255, 255, 252. And that's all we're going to do for that one. Next, I'm going to configure the IP address for router A's gig 000 and gig 001. So I'm going to head into interface config mode for gig 000, interface gig 000. I'm going to type in IP address 172.16.0.1, 255, 255, 255, 0. I'm going to enable the interface with a no shut. And then I'm going to jump into interface config mode for gig 001. I'm going to give it an IP address 200, 0, 100, 1, 255, 255, 255, 252. And I'm going to go ahead and enable the interface. Now there's one more thing I need to do on router A before we hop on to router B and do some configuration there. So what I need to do is I need to make a route to LAN B, because when one of these PCs tries to get an IP address through DHCP, it's going to go to router B. Router B is going to forward it to router A. Router A is going to hand out the IP address and send it back, but it won't be able to send it back if it doesn't know how to get to LAN B. So we'll just configure a static route here. And we're going to make this a directly connected route. So I'm going to specify the exit interface, G001. All right, next we're going to hop on to router B. Going to go into global config mode. And I'm going to configure the IP addressing for G000. So interface, G000, IP address 172.16.1.1.255.255.255.0. Going to give it a no shut. And then I'm going to go ahead and get router B's gig 001 IP address through DHCP. So interface G001 IP address DHCP no shut. Now here we can see that router B was given the 200.0.102 address by router A from the pool that we previously configured. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go into interface config mode on gig 000. And we're going to set this up as a DHCP relay. And the way we do that is we type an IP helper address. And then we type the IP address of the DHCP server, which in this case is router A. So 200.0.100.1. So now that we have a relay set up and our DHCP server set up, we're going to go ahead and get some addresses on our PCs. So I'm going to open up PCA. And I'm going to type in ipconfig/renew. Okay, you can see that we've been given the first IP address in the range that we configured. So now on PCA2, I'm going to type in the same thing, ipconfig/renew. And we've been assigned the next available IP in the range. And over on LAN B, ipconfig/renew. And you can see we've been given the first address in the LAN B range. And lastly, we've been given the next IP address in the LAN B range. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.